Hi everybody and welcome to the 2020 Virtual Volunteer Fair. My name is Jenna. I'll be your moderator today, and we have a couple people working behind the scenes helping with a few things. So Faye is going to be our tech support for the fair, so you might hear Faye join in at some point, and Cecia is helping moderate the chat. So the first thing everybody should know is that at any time you can type into the chat on the right hand side of your screen if you're on a laptop or a desktop. If you have any questions or if you're having any technical difficulties, please feel free to type in the chat and Cecia will be the one helping you. So typically this fair is held in person on campus, but of course this year things are a little bit different, so we're doing it virtually. So thank you everybody for joining us. It's going to be a great event. Just to give you an idea of how the fair will run, it will go till about 3 o'clock. There's going to be 14 organizations presenting. Each organization will have about 6 minutes to present on their volunteer opportunities and also to do a question and answer period with you. So we really encourage you to type your questions into the chat if you have any questions for the organizations. Also, if you would like to turn on your microphone during the question and answer period and ask your question, you can raise your hand using the raise hand feature on Blackboard Collaborate. Again, if you're not sure how to do that, please just ask in the chat. We can tell you how to do that, and if you raise your hand, we can unmute your mic. So you are all muted right now, so if you are speaking in the background, that's fine, we won't hear you. And we also can't see you, so you'll be able to focus on the presenters. The timing of the fair will be fairly flexible. We do have a schedule, but as you guys know, sometimes things don't always go as planned. So keep in mind that the schedule for the fair could change a little bit as things go on by maybe a minute or two. The other thing that I want to mention tech-wise is if you're getting distracted during the fair by any notifications, whether they are the ones popping up or audio notifications, you can adjust those in your settings. So down on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, there's a little wheel. You can click on that and adjust your settings. Again, if you would like help with this, please just type in the chat and our behind-the-scenes tech gurus will help you adjust your notifications. Also, I'll say that the fair is being recorded. So for signing up for the fair, you're acknowledging that the fairs will be recorded. We are going to crop out everyone's names, so your names and your questions won't be shown on the final recording, but the recordings will be available after the fair in the coming days. So those of you who may have to miss part of the fair, or for people who couldn't come, they'll be able to view the fair afterwards. And last but not least, I'm going to say that all of the information we're talking about today will also be shared on our website. So the recordings will be there, and we've got some information sheets on the organizations that are presenting. Those are available on our website, which we'll share with you a few times throughout the fair and at the end, but it is upei.ca/XED, EXED, which is short for Experiential Education. So the fair is brought to you by the Office of Experiential Education here at UPEI, as well as the Atlantic Canada Study and Stay program. We worked on building this fair for you guys together. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our very first presenter. We have Nicole from the Upper Room Hospitality Ministry presenting first, so you can take it away, Nicole.
Hello? Hi. Oh.
We can hear you, Nicole.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so yes, I'm Nicole. I'm the event coordinator at the Upper Room, and we are a nonprofit organization for Charlottetown. We offer both a food bank and a soup kitchen, and some people think it's the same location, but it's not. The food bank is actually 33 Belmont Street, which is very close to Holland College, and then our kitchen is downtown Charlottetown, which is 101 Richmond Street. And basically, the food bank is a place where clients can come. Right now, people can come. There's 3 days a week from 9 to 11 where clients are able to come. We call them hampers, but it's a grocery pickup. And so people are in need are able to come right now once a month. We used to have it 2 times a month, but we were not able to meet that, unfortunately. So we do once a month where people are able to come and get their food. And then at the soup kitchen, it's open 7 days a week. So currently, due to COVID, we have takeout meals, but actually they're going to be announcing soon where it's going to be open again to dining room service. Big part of our organization is volunteers, so I'm really happy to be here today with this. So currently, yes, with COVID, volunteering is very limited. We actually had to scale back a lot because of it, but since we're doing so well here, we do have some opportunities coming up. So the volunteering process here is actually quite simple. So if this is of interest to you where you want to volunteer, there's a couple of different areas that you could volunteer with us right now. There's currently the soup kitchen would be one, and events, but I'll describe that a little bit more. So basically, have a few areas where you could volunteer. One would be admin work. Currently there's not much going on for that, but that would just be helping with filing or assisting with registration, and all of those volunteer opportunities are currently taken right now. Another opportunity would be sorting food, so that would be either in our food bank or our warehouse, and we do have some opportunities coming in the future with that. Another one is events, which is specifically my area. And we actually are going to have a food drive coming up at the end of October. So if that is of something that is of interest to you, then definitely give us a shout, and I'll give my information at the end. And then the soup kitchen, which basically, if you're looking to do maybe something once a week, maybe it's a few hours, one day, because I know as students you have a very busy schedule, so that is something if you're interested in, I can give you that number as well. So if it is of interest to you where you are looking to volunteer here, you could call the food bank, and our number is 902-892-7092, or you can email myself, and my email is events.urhm@gmail.com. And all you'd have to do is book an appointment. With COVID, you're not able to just come to our food bank. You would have to book an appointment, but once you do, then you come in and fill out a form, and it's just a quick 2-page form, and then I put you on our emailing list. So if there's any opportunities that come up, you would see an email automatically, and then you'd be able to see what we have, and then you say right then and there. I usually give a pretty good detail of what that volunteering opportunity is, and I would be announcing it for any of the areas of interest that I mentioned before. So if there's anything of interest to you, and say, hey Nicole, this is something I'd really like to do, and so it's first come first serve. So if there is something that's available, then I'll say, okay, let's get you set up. And then I'd walk through the process just depending on what it is. And we actually have staff for each area. So say you were for the food bank, you'd be with one of our staff members named Carol. If you were for events, you'd be with me. Soup kitchen, you'd actually be with Lorraine, because that's a completely different location. So our volunteers mean everything to us. It's a truly rewarding experience. It's hard to kind of say it in just this amount of time, but I know the volunteers here, they've been here for several years. So that's also why we don't have a huge amount of opportunities, because once they come, they don't want to leave. But we are looking for people. Like I said, most currently, we do have a food drive at the end of October, and this food drive actually is a drive-through option. So if anyone is worrying about safety right now with COVID, we actually to completely change our food drive because of the COVID. So we're going to have 12 locations across Charlottetown, and 3 in Cornwall. So we're kind of looking to have people fill in some of those spots, and all the locations, they're going to be outside, so social distancing very easy to do. We provide masks, we provide gloves, we provide safety vests. Most of our volunteering has been covered for that, but there are a couple of openings. So if that is of interest to you, definitely give us a shout. And there will be other opportunities, especially Christmas coming. So it's going to be a very busy season for us, but it's exciting. If you like that kind of stuff, then definitely give us a shout. So that's That's all I have to say for the upper room. If there's any questions or anything, I'd love to answer.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, Nicole. You can tell that you really value your volunteers, and it sounds like the volunteers you have already really love volunteering there. So that's great. If anyone has any questions, we have a couple of minutes. You can feel free to type them into the chat or raise your hand, and our behind the scenes people will help you. We'll unmute you and you can ask your question. One question I have, Nicole, while we wait for any questions to come in, are there any kind of prerequisites or training that people should have before they come to volunteer with the Upper Room?
So we will provide any volunteering. Oh, I see a question there. So we will provide training for the current opportunities that we have. It doesn't require a huge amount of prerequisites in that way. We actually don't have criminal record checks with our volunteering, so students don't have to worry about that. But in especially the first shift, I always meet with the volunteers prior to their shift to go over little details, and then the actual first time of the shift, there's a staff member there that would kind of guide them through, especially when it's their first time. But usually things they kind of pick up as they go along the shift. But I mean, any questions or anything, we're right there. And it's a very friendly, safe spot. So, you know, we want to set people up for success. So, yeah, there's nothing, it's not complicated. Usually the work that we do, it could be maybe sometimes physically demanding, especially if it was food warehouse or food bank sorting. And if you're someone who likes, you know, events and stuff and getting excited about things, and I know right now events are not crazy, but funny enough, we do have some. So if that's of interest, then I'm the person to train, and there's no prerequisites for that. You just need to have a passion and be to that shift. That's a big one. So, you know, making sure that you're not late, making sure that you're on time, and that you are doing what you were asked to do. Those are the biggest things for us.
Great. Okay, thanks, Nicole. We have another maybe minute and a half, and as you saw, there's a couple questions that have come in. So one person's asking, are there volunteer opportunities virtually? And someone else asked what the process is to fill out the form. And I just saw another one come in asking how many hours per week. So just for the purposes of time, these questions are included on an information sheet that's on our website. So Nicole, if you don't have a chance to answer all of them in the next minute, students can go to our website and get that information too.
Yes, if I didn't answer one of those questions, and if it still wasn't answered in that fact sheet, feel free to call me or send me an email, and we can kind of walk through it a little bit more. It's very easy to fill out one of these forms, I will say that, but again, just email me and we can talk about it a little bit further. Unfortunately, no, we don't have anything virtually for volunteering, but that is a really good question, because definitely it could be something maybe in the future, but currently, no, we don't have anything like that, and I can't remember what the other question was, but I don't know if we have time anymore.
Yeah, we're just running short on time there. So yeah, thank you, Nicole. Yeah. Again, yeah, really appreciate you joining us today. And yeah, just to repeat, all of the information about the volunteering for the Upper Room will be on a fact sheet on our website, which we will post on a slide here a couple times throughout the fair, but the website is upei.ca/EXED, which is short for experiential education. So just to recap what Nicole went over for volunteering with the Upper Room Hospitality Ministry, they are looking for volunteers for the food bank, the soup kitchen, events, the warehouse, and some administration work. And there'll be more opportunities coming up as this year goes on, and of course as hopefully COVID dies down. To connect with them if you're interested in volunteering, you can email Nicole at the email address there on the page, or you can give her a call at that phone number. And her contact information has also been posted in the chat. So if you're not in the chat and you really want to get in touch with Nicole, open up the chat and you can copy and paste or take a screenshot of her contact info, and her contact info will be on our website as well. So up next, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, thank you so much for having me, and all the best today.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
So before our next presenter, I wanted to take a moment to tell all of you students about a really cool program that's being offered here in PEI. It's the Atlantic Canada Study and Stay program. And this program is designed for international students who are in their final year of study and who are interested in staying and working in PEI after they graduate. So that's college or university. Basically, the program provides enhanced support for these students with things like culture, language training, career and networking skills. They are really hands-on, and I know some of the students that have gone through this program and they've gone on to do wonderful things. So if you're interested in staying in PEI after you graduate, definitely check out this program. There is an information session coming up tomorrow at 5 p.m. and you can join that via Zoom. So the information is there on your screen. Again, feel free to write that down or take a screenshot of it so you can join that session to learn more. You can also check out or get in touch with them via email or check out their website, which Cecilia just posted in the chat. So again, you can take a screenshot of that if you'd like. And once again, I know lots of people who have gone through that program. If you're an international student wanting to stay in the beautiful province of PEI where we live, I definitely recommend checking out this program. So up next, we've got Jose Gonzalez from the UPEI Student Union to present. So whenever you're ready, Jose, you can go ahead with your presentation.
Okay, can everybody hear me and see me? Question mark? Yes, perfect.
Yes.
So basically, I'm here with the UPS Student Union. Basically, we kind of are here to represent you. So in order to have a better idea of how to adequately represent your needs and what students need on campus, it's good to have students volunteer with us. The Student Union offers a variety of different volunteer opportunities. And I'm gonna put our website where you can find information how to volunteer in the chat. Oop. So basically, if you follow that link that I put right there, there's an explanation of the different volunteer opportunities that we have available. Basically, it's broken down in two. One is our committees, and the other one is our street team or volunteer squad. And I'll go a little bit in depth about those, but I'll also copy the links that lead you to both directly to the applications. So first, this is the one for committees right there. And then the one below is the one for the volunteer squad. Just a second. Perfect. So, our committees are basically made up of executive members of the student union, members of the student union council, which elections are happening, so be sure to vote and be updated on all and be on top of all that information. And you guys who might be the volunteers to join us. So basically, our committees are broken down in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Our first committee is the Initiatives and Future Directions Committee. That one is chaired by our president. Basically, you get together and bounce ideas back and forth on what direction should the student union take in future years to better support our students. Then we have our funding committee, which is chaired by our VP Finance and Administration. That people in this committee kind of assess funding applications from clubs and societies and students at large, and you decide where our funding opportunities go to. So if you think a particular group on campus is doing a really cool initiative that will help students, you would be taking those decisions on where our funding is placed. Then there is the budget committee that's also administered by our VP Finance and Administration. Basically, if you're a business student, this is a good committee to be on. You analyze the yearly budget of the student union and conduct surveys and budget consultations to make sure that basically we are allocating the money that we have well in the different departments we have in the student union. Then is the team or volunteer squad. That's my favorite because that's the one that I chair and I'm the fun person. So basically, the street team is kind of like the group of people who come together with us to put together our field operations. That means you help us carry out events and campaigns and different events on campus, whether it be online or in person. So that's the one that I chair, and the application is right there in the chat. So be sure to apply for that one because I love having some volunteers. And then we have the UPSU advocacy team. So that's chaired by the VP Academic and External. So basically, you kind of advocate for student needs and kind of what we need at a provincial, federal, and government level. And finally, the Marketing and Communications Committee. That one is for you to help us kind of find out what are the best ways we can communicate with students in terms of giving them information, making sure they look at our social media and stuff, so they're up to date to everything we do. So those are the 6 committees. Again, all of these have a limited amount of positions. So if you're interested, fill in the application that I send with the committee's message. And then there's 2 committees that have they don't have a maximum amount of people to sign in, so everybody can sign up. That's the street team, chair again, and the advocacy team. So be sure to apply for those because there's no limit for how many students we need. We just want to make sure that we represent you guys well and you feel well supported throughout the year. Yay! And I think those are my 5 minutes.
Great, thanks, Jose. Yeah, we have a couple minutes left for questions, like just 1 or 2 minutes. So if any students have any questions, please type them in the chat now or raise your hand. And I always have a million questions. So Jose, how did you first get involved with the student union, Jose?
So basically, I've been involved on campus a lot. This is my 4th year. I tend to not say that technically next semester is my 5th year. But I being a residence life advisor and campus life advisor, the body program coordinator, and now the next step of planning events on campus would have been this position. So I've actually never been on the student union before. This is my first year. However, the staff and the system that we have kind of set up through the years makes it easy for any student to get involved with us. Also, another cool thing is that since it's a student organization mainly run by students, you feel like you're all in even ground and all everybody's kind of on the same level. All of us are students and we're working together to make sure students are having a good time and feeling well supported.
Great, thank you so much. I know I kind of put you on the spot there, but that was an awesome answer. So that's about all the time we have for talking about the student union today. So just to recap what Jose mentioned, there's some of the volunteer positions that they're looking for students to fill, the committees. They're also looking for volunteers to assist the vice presidents with their different portfolios during their events, campaigns, consultations, and all the amazing things that the student union does throughout the year. If you would like more information on volunteering with the student union, you can email them at info@upei.ca. And once again, all of this information will be available on our experiential education website, which we will put up a few times throughout the fair for you to see. Okay, thank you again, Jose, so much for sharing the volunteer positions that are available with the Student Union. Up next, we've got presenter Kelsey Kliparchak from Chantier Jeunesse. Kelsey, I have no idea if I pronounced your last name right or not, so please correct me.
Perfectly, thank you.
Oh, great, it was a good guess. Okay, so yeah, take it away and tell all of our listeners about Chantier Jeunesse.
Perfect. So, Chantier Jeunesse, we are a bilingual youth volunteer organization, pan-Canadian, funded by Canada Service Corps. So what we do is we create short and long-term opportunities for youth to volunteer and engage with their communities. So what does that really look like, especially in this time? Let's find out. So, as I mentioned, we do short-term, long-term volunteering. We also offer volunteering across the world. However, in this time, I doubt that this is going to be happening. But we also do have social entrepreneurship volunteer opportunities, which would be your grant experience. So you could develop your own social impact project that we would help mentor you on. So what would one of those things look like? So a social entrepreneur project is for participants age 15 to 30. And as are all of our projects are within that age category. And we help mentor youth to create their own nonprofit project to meet a community's need. So that would require you who'd be applying to consult within your community to find out what those needs are and how could you respond in the best way and in a way that's genuine for yourself. It's got to be somewhere in Canada, wherever you live. It can be virtual. It can be in person. And it could be anywhere between 1 to 12 months. So this could be a long series, perhaps, that maybe you want to create an educational series at UPEI. Perhaps you want to start up a community garden. Those are things and projects we definitely would fund. As I mentioned, community projects, they can't generate revenue, right? So we would mentor and guide you all the way up until if you want to generate revenue. So let's say you're launching an idea and you want to just kind of test it out and gain the resources and expertise and mentorship from our staff before you start a business, let's just say, then we can help you in the nonprofit side of those things. And so we do provide one-on-one support as well throughout your whole social entrepreneurship project. So you would have someone like myself, not necessarily myself, but another outreach officer mentor you and guide you through that whole 12-month period. After that, we also provide attestation letters. We'll connect you with more organizations or perhaps other places that you can continue grant funding in alignment with your project with us. And we do provide financial aid for up to $2,500, so $2,500. We do have different sections in our budget that those funds need to be allocated to. So I know that there's $1,000 dedicated to pre-project planning. And so that could look like maybe the travel budget if you all need to gather with social distance to meet and have a meeting to plan your event, and so on and so forth. And the second part would be $1,500 towards the actual project launch. And so how can you participate in this? Well, our volunteer projects, entrepreneurship projects as well, you can all register online. It's for, again, 15 to 30-year-old youth. The one thing that we have that's a little limiting, I know, for students especially, is that since we are funded by the Government of Canada through Canada Service Corps, our programs are offered and are free to Canadian citizens, permanent residents, and people with refugee status here in Canada. However, if you want to be a part of a project that you have and you don't have any of those things, maybe you are an international student, perhaps this would be a good idea to network within your community, find people who do have their status, who are permanent residents or a citizen, and collaborate on a team project. So everyone is welcome to participate. However, those who apply for the grant have to be an eligible citizen or resident. So you can find more information on that here. I'm also going to quickly share our link directly to our social entrepreneurship projects online, where you'll have more information on what we actually offer. We not accidentally, but we actually just closed our doors for an opportunity with World Wildlife Fund. Our applications were due on September 27th, so we just missed that date. But this partnership with WWF would help support and mentor youth volunteer projects, specifically around environmental eco-leadership. So we do have a variety of staff who have a lot of skills and can help you with whatever project development you would like. So this is our general contact information. My location, I'm Kelsey Kilparchuk. I'm the outreach officer with Chantier Jeunesse in Moncton. Our main head office is in Montreal, and we do have another office in Calgary. We have many programs, as I mentioned. We also have opportunities to become an ambassador for Chantier Jeunesse. And with that, you would be able to engage in much more opportunities, network opportunities, have invitations to the United Nations events, and so on. So,
Great.
that being said, I will open up the floor for some questions if anyone would like to pose anything.
Thank you so much, Kelsey. We don't have much time at all for questions, but of course, if anyone has a question, feel free to pop it in the chat and we can try to address it. And again, all of the information that Kelsey provided us before the fair will be available on our website. So you can contact her at the contact information there on the screen now. Or you can also go to our website, upei.ca/xed, short for experiential education, and all of the information that she shared is there as well. So thank you again so much, Kelsey, for sharing. We really appreciate you coming today. Before moving on to our next presenter, I want to mention a couple of reminders for those who have maybe just joined the fair. So you can type questions that you have at any point into the chat box, whether they be technical support questions or questions for the presenters. And as well, when you join the fair today, you will automatically be muted. So if you want to ask a question using your microphone, you can use the raise hand feature in Blackboard Collaborate, and we'll give you the mic to ask your question during the question period. You can also adjust your audio and visual notifications in your settings menu down on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. So if you find the pop-ups or the audio notifications really distracting, you can go and adjust those. After the fair, be sure to visit our website, which is listed there, and also be sure to follow Experiential Education UPEI on social media. We're on all three of those social media platforms, and we're always sharing news and stories about upcoming events such as this one, free workshops, and other services for students. So with that, I'm going to introduce Rochelle Greathouse, who works on campus with us here, and she will be telling you about the Rotaract Club of UPEI. You can take it away, Rochelle.
Okay. Hi, can everybody hear me?
I can hear you, Rochelle.
Okay, can you see me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I was waiting. When I was waiting there, I was like, okay, I don't see the video camera. When does this happen? Okay, hi everybody. I'm going to talk a little bit about Rotaract, but also just basically also what my role here is on campus and how you can contact me to get involved on campus. Normally, we have a lot of different volunteer opportunities in the International Student Office here on campus. However, because of COVID and distancing regulations that we have in place right now, a lot of those opportunities might not be happening. So, for example, normally we also do the tax fair, we do Global Village, and the Buddy program. Buddy program is still going, so you can get involved in that. But Rotaract is there's two clubs on campus that we are staff advisors on. Noah's going to talk about WIS for like 2 minutes, and I'm going to talk about Rotaract for 2 minutes. So I'm going to share two links with you. The first one is to Rotaract in general. So I'll put that here in the chat box. So what Rotaract is, it's the youth version of Rotary International. So there's Rotaract clubs in 180 countries around the world. Rotary has been in existence for a longer period of time. It's actually in every country in the world, but the Rotaract clubs are growing. We do have quite a few clubs in the Maritime region, and this gives you an opportunity to work with other students, not just in PEI, but you can partner with clubs in your region, and you can also partner with clubs around the world. So even if we have students right now that are in their home countries, they can still take part in Rotaract activities. They can even try to liaison with their local club in their home community, and we can partner on projects together. The other great thing about Rotaract is Rotary has a commitment to service for education, peace education, disease eradication, women and children's health. So those are all kind of different pillars that our work falls under as Rotary members. So Rotaractors are usually engaged in those same types of activities, those same themes that follow the Rotary ideals, basically, okay? I'm going to put the link to our Facebook page because I would love to have everybody join. And I think the first meeting might be even happening this Friday. Age limit, you can be anywhere from 18 up to age 30, but they're not that strict on the 30. You know, if you are a UPEI student and you are currently 32, we will have you. It's not going to be a problem. It just, they try to change it so that starting at age 30 or even close, like 28, you can join a Rotary Club. It's just, honestly, the members of Rotary are often older, so sometimes you're going to find more in common with the younger people that are involved in the Rotaract Club. However, if you want to transition into Rotary later on, that's great. That's the idea. I put a link to the Facebook group. All you have to do is send a link to us, and we'll be all set. And I'm going to turn it over now to Nohad, who is sitting beside me, because she also just wants to tell you a little bit about WISC, which is our.
Talk about the ambassadors first?
Oh, we don't have time.
Okay, I'm gonna take this off. Okay, so thanks for having us. So I just want to take a moment to talk about WUSC. So WUSC is something I've been involved with for a long time. I was involved as a student and now as a staff person. I'm also a staff advisor, which is like really, really cool to have that kind of transition. So WUSC stands for World University Services of Canada, and it is a part of campuses all across Canada. They're in 72, and unlike a lot of other societies on campus, they're actually a nonprofit, so it makes them a little bit different. So first of all, if you look in your fees, you've actually already supported us by paying $5 each semester. This semester, because we didn't have a student join us because of the pandemic, we're hoping that they may be able to join us next semester, but there's not a $5 fee this semester, but anyways, previous ones. But yeah, most of what we focus on is a student refugee program, which actually is really unique globally because we actually have students join us from refugee camps. So WUSC actually works in these camps and tries to promote education and learning. And a lot of the students we have actually been tutors or teachers in the program. And they come to, so it's highly competitive. They are selected to come to Canada, and upon arrival, they actually become permanent residents. So most of what we focus on is the transition. So the settlement, the supporting, we do a bit with the immigration, but mostly that's Rochelle and I. We do a lot of other activities, including Shine a Light, which brings light to students in refugee camps, because women typically, it's difficult for them to finish and complete their education without a light to finish after they're required to do all of their tasks. There's a lot more responsibility on women than men, so they don't get a chance to finish their education, but we've seen a 50% increase in women coming to Canada since.
I'm sorry to jump in there. Yeah, I think we're out of time. I'm going to say we have 1 minute for questions. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I know Rochelle got that one there about age for Rotaract, but we'll give participants maybe 30 seconds or a minute to ask some questions. I want to add that I'm actually involved with Rotaract and was involved with WUSC back when I was a student, and they're both really great organizations. Yeah, Rochelle, thanks for sharing Nohad's email. So if anybody is interested in getting involved with WUSC or Rotaract, there's some information there in the chat for you. So I'm not seeing any questions. Thank you to both of you. They're in the same building as me right now, just upstairs. So thank you for joining. So just to follow up there for Rotaract Club. Thanks, Rochelle. Bye. Bye. So just to follow up there, Rotaract Club, there's a wide array of different things that you can do as a volunteer with Rotaract. So we just have looking for volunteers in general. The best way to get in touch with Rotaract is definitely to join that Facebook group if you're on Facebook. And there's always things being posted there about meetings and opportunities to volunteer. So thank you again to Rochelle and Nohad from the UPEI International Student Office. Next up, we've got Let's Talk Science. Kimberly Chufun is going to tell us about Let's Talk Science UPEI. Take it away, Kim, if you're ready.
All right. Hi, everyone. Hopefully you can hear and see me. If not, just let me know. So I am the coordinator for Let's Talk Science at PEI. So just to give you a little bit of information about Let's Talk Science and what we do. So we are a charitable organization that's focused on education and outreach to support youth development. We create and deliver unique learning opportunities and programs that engage children, youth, and educators in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So Let's Talk Science exists throughout Canada. There's multiple sites in all of the different provinces. But in PEI, we just have one, which is at UPEI. But there's a number of different programs that we run on the national level, and one of those is the Let's Talk Science Outreach. And this is a free national program that connects youth and educators with over 3,500 outstanding post-secondary and industry volunteers at over 40 post-secondary outreach sites. Our volunteers engage youth in a wide variety of meaningful STEM learning experiences in schools and community settings. Specifically at the PEI site or at UPEI, there's a number of activities that we have volunteers participate in with respect to Let's Talk Science. But because of COVID-19, it has changed a little bit with respect to how we are approaching it. So typically we would have in-person activities and we would have the volunteers going out to schools and that sort of thing. But the new policy for at least until the end of the year is for all of the activities to be virtual or online instead. So in terms of the activities that we have happening on PEI, one of the major things is educational outreach in PEI schools and with other groups. So other groups might include things like Girl Scouts. And what we do there is we have volunteers go out to the school and do some sort of really fun educational activity based on science. So it might range from something like making slime or learning how to do different things like that and teaching them the science behind it. We also participate in science fairs, which is where we would set up a booth and anybody who comes in can learn a little bit about what it is that we do and learn a little bit about science in a fun and hands-on way. Also, another thing that we would typically have volunteers do is prepare activity kits. So this is where they would put together all of the different materials that are needed for a particular outreach activity. And then we also have volunteer training. So we have a number of volunteer training sessions. Usually there's just one to get you started. And all of this now is online. Typically it would be in person. But we have a training session online and a number of other webinars that volunteers can get on to improve their skills. And like I mentioned, we are working to make the transition to having all of these virtual instead of in person, but it's all depending on your time and what you're capable or willing to do. So if it is that we have people reaching out wanting to volunteer, we can connect them with various educators so that they can start their virtual online outreach sessions. In terms of getting in touch with us, Let's Talk Science has a website with a lot of information on there. You can just Let's Talk Science and you'll be able to find information about just general information about the organization and information about how you can sign up to become a volunteer. If you want to volunteer specifically at the UPEI site, you can also go to the Facebook page and look up UPEI LTS Volunteers Forum. And that should, once you try to join that page, I can add you, and it's there that I would often send information about any upcoming volunteer opportunities. I also tend to send it via email, so the official email address is written there as well. So you can just get in contact with me if you are interested in volunteering, and we can set up your training session.
Great, thank you, Kimberly. That's great. Yeah, I know Let's Talk Science UPEI has been at our in-person volunteer fairs in the past, and it's always a lot of fun talking to you guys and finding out, what volunteer opportunities are available.
Yeah.
So we'll give participants maybe 2 minutes to ask some questions in the chat, just in case anybody has questions. So for those of you just joining us, if you have any questions about volunteering with Let's Talk Science, please feel free to write them in the chat now, or use the raise hand feature in Blackboard Collaborate, and we'll turn your mic on so you can ask your question. And just to review what Kimberly was telling us about, Let's Talk Science UPEI is looking for volunteers to engage youth in STEM fields, learning experiences in high schools and in community settings. And her email address is there if you want to get in touch if you're interested in learning more about volunteering with them. I have a question, Kimberly. Do you have to be a science student to volunteer with Let's Talk Science?
No, you do not have to be a science student. We've actually had students from the education faculty, for example, who sign up because they're just interested in teaching and outreach in general. So you definitely do not need a science background, but if you have an interest in science, that would help because it's mostly STEM subjects that we're doing the outreach on. So just having an interest or general interest definitely helps. And in terms of the activities, we guide you very well throughout the activities and what it is that needs to be done. So you don't need like a degree or anything in science to do it.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much, Kimberly, for sharing and letting people know about that great volunteer opportunity. Hopefully some people will get in touch with you.
Great.
Great. Nice seeing you. Thanks.
Thanks.
And up next, we are going to be hearing about the Canadian Mental Health Association from Sarah McCachran. So Sarah, if you're there and you're ready to go, the floor is yours.
All right, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you yet, but I can hear. Oh, there you are. Hi.
Awesome. Sorry, still trying to figure this technology stuff out. So hello. As I was introduced, my name is Sarah, and I'm here with the Canadian Mental Health Association today. I work for CMHA as an education coordinator. So today we're looking to recruit volunteers for our I'm Thumb Buddy program. So I don't have any slides or anything. I was just going to do some chatting on what that program looks like. CMHA, Canadian Mental Health, has lots of different programs that operate throughout the island, and I'm Thumb Buddy is one that runs in the school system. So we present to grade 3 students from tip to tip of the island on essentially what mental health is and types of things like self-esteem and managing different feelings and things like that. So it's quite interesting to teach third graders about these types of things, and it's quite interesting to hear what they have to say on them too. So it is a really fun volunteer opportunity. To go over some of the logistics of it, it runs during the school year. So anytime between September and April or May is when we try and get it in there. When we look for volunteers, we love to recruit students essentially because a lot of your schedules stay similar throughout the year and you're based on like a semester schedule, which works really well for this. In order to hear with the program, you need to be available during the days as we go into the schools during the daytimes. So that would be one of the key things if you were interested in volunteering. And how it works is I'm Thumb Buddy is, like I said, we present to third grade students in the school system during the day. We get every school across the island, and it's broken into 2 sessions. So how we do it is 1 week you're there for an hour, and then the following week you're there for an hour. So it would be at the same time and on the same day. And you're in presenting, normally with partners. So you never really go alone unless you're comfortable with that. So you'll primarily always be with someone else. And the program is designed so when you are interested, or if you are interested in becoming a volunteer, you would complete a quick application form just so we can get some information about you. We like when there are some references there we can check because the experience that we'll look for when volunteering for this program is kind of experience working with children, like if you're comfortable presenting in front of
in front of groups of kids, if you're able to manage a group of kids, and as well just a little bit of background information, if you have any, on mental health and what that looks like. So in order to kind of go through those application processes, we'll do those reference checks. And then once you're in, we do a quick training session. So you are well equipped to deliver the Thumb Buddy presentation. The training that we do is about 3 hours. We try and do everyone all at once. And once you leave that training session, you're essentially equipped to deliver the program for the rest of the year. So following that training session, schools come pretty sporadically. So it's whatever the class can fit us in for. And following that, normally myself, the coordinator, would just send out an email to all the volunteers to see if that specific school or class would work with your schedule. And if it does, that's great. You can kind of snag that school off the email, and you would be the designated volunteer for that class. So going from there, you would deliver the program to that class in those 2-week sessions, like I mentioned, ideally with a partner if there's someone else that has the same schedule, and you'd go from there.
Great, thanks, Sarah. I don't know, I hadn't heard too much about the On Somebody program until last year. I remembered, oh yeah, I remember doing that when I was in grade 3. Yep. So it was a blast from the past. We have about a minute or two for some questions. If anybody has questions, please feel free to type them into the chat or raise your hand on the Blackboard Collaborate platform. You can use the raise hand feature and we'll turn on your mic so you can ask your question. One question I have, Sarah, in your experience, has doing this type of volunteer work helped lead people to employment, whether that be like part-time or full-time? Could you talk a bit about that?
For sure. So with volunteering with CMHA, I've always found it to be a great opportunity just to meet people within the organization. Normally towards the end of the year, we would have like a volunteer reception where all of the staff and volunteers would come together. And that's a really great time to get to meet, like I said, everyone in the organization and start to build those connections. There's no guaranteed employment following volunteering, but in my experience, I was a Thumb Buddy volunteer back when I was in university, and because of the connections I made through that program, I was able to secure the job that I have now. So from my own experience, it's been very positive.
That's great. Okay, well, thank you so much for presenting today, Sarah. And as with the other presenters that we've had already today, there's some follow-up information here as well as on our website. So once again, Sarah was talking about how they're looking for volunteers for their Thumb Buddy program, which would be volunteers to deliver mental health programming in grade 3 classes. So if you're interested in doing that type of volunteer work, definitely get in touch with Sarah. Her email is there on the screen and it's in the chat. So thanks again, Sarah. It was nice seeing you, and come back next year. Hopefully we'll be in person.
Perfect. Hi.
Great, thank you. So up next, we've got Joseph Derry from the PEI Association for Community Living to present. So Joseph, if you're ready, feel free to take the floor.
So it says that I'm coming through okay. Am I showing up? Is everything good?
Yes, I can see and hear you very clearly.
I love it. So I do have my little talking points. I'll try to keep it brief enough. There's a lot to go over, so I'll kind of be not rushing through, but I want to make sure I get to as much as I can. So the Prince Edward Island Association for Community Living, what we do is we support individuals and families who take care of loved ones that have intellectual disabilities across PEI. What I do is I'm the support match coordinator. I'm kind of here to talk to the lovely students of UPEI about working and doing respite work to provide relief for families. Sorry, again, I kind of lost track as soon as I looked up here. So I'm here to, again, speak with you. I want to have anybody who's interested reach out. We have a little intake process. Oh gosh, sorry, I'm all over the place here.
That's okay, I've got all my notes in front of me too.
And I thought I was smart by like ordering them up because I had them all laid out, and then I just completely threw off my rhythm here. I digress. Sorry everybody who's listening, we will get to it. So what you'd be doing is you'd be going into family homes, maybe taking the individual you'd be working with out into the community, taking part in other organization programming, that kind of stuff. When a family reaches out, we're not sure, or sorry, when a family or an individual reaches out, we're not sure who the client is going to be, what their diagnosis is, what their what their barriers are, what their needs are, all that kind of stuff. So I'm doing the intake. I kind of figure out, the way I like to say it is, I'm kind of figuring out the puzzle piece that you would be as the respite worker, so that I can make the best connection to the family or the individual to ensure the best work gets done for who you'd be working with. Again, when I say you'd be providing respite, that is a very, very open, broad thing that I'm talking about. We have some families who reach in. They want a respite worker who can come in for 1 day a week on the weekend to do just fun stuff out in the community. We have some families reaching out and they want somebody who can come in consistently through the week, who can help with, again, washroom duties, getting people out the door in the morning, just a little more involved with the, again, I hate using the word client, but with the individual you'd be working with. I'm asking the students who are interested to please email or call me. There is an intake, so you would be working with an individual and their family in the family home, like I said, in the community. So we have to verify that you do have the skills and the personality to be working with the people that we set you up with. So the matches we make are based off of ability, experience, and availability. The family always has the final say. So we do our little intake. It's a 20-minute or so interview. Again, I'd figure out kind of the puzzle piece you are. You don't need to have experience. It's preferred, but you don't have to have that experience. This is a great opportunity to get that experience. We'll work together. You can work with the family to kind of figure out what your boundaries are and what your comforts are. Getting ahead of myself here. So we bring you in, we talk, then we connect you with the family. The family does have the final say. So if we love you and we think you'd be great to work with the family, but the family's thinking, okay, they're not a good fit, that's fine. We just keep working with you to find that family that would be the best fit for you. Because again, when it works best both ways, that's when the best work can get done. Again, intake process, 20 minutes. There is a requirement that you have a clear vulnerable sector check. So within 6 months of when we connect, if you don't have one, I can work with you to get one. That's fine. There's also the importance of confidentiality. Again, the individual you're working with, you're going to find out diagnoses. You're going to find out medical history. You're going to be in the family home often. All that has to remain confidential. There's a confidentiality waiver to sign as well. If that gets breached, it's termination of contract. There is so families are. I know I'm kind of on a time limit, so I'm trying to keep it good.
That's okay. You have about 2 or 3 minutes left, so try to leave some room for questions just in case.
Oh gosh. So the families do get funding through accessibility to pay for the respite workers that come in. So there is an opportunity to make a little extra income as well. That is on a wide range depending on the duties you'd be doing, all that kind of stuff. It's hard to talk about because it is all very broad until the family gets in touch with us. We're not sure what they need. We're not sure the hours they want covered, all that stuff here. So I asked that the students reach out if they're interested in working with those who have intellectual disabilities. I can get a sense of what they're most comfortable with, what they're most excited about, and then I can connect them to the families where they can get the most out of the experience, and the family then can get the most support possible. But that's kind of in a nutshell. Hopefully that was clear and it got through and all that sort of stuff. But please do just reach out if you are interested, because there is a lot to talk about that I can't all kind of get to in the time that I have. So sorry, I was kind of rushing, scatterbrained.
That's totally fine. And that's, I wish we could have a 24-hour long volunteer fair, but we decided to keep it to 2 hours. So you did a great job summarizing everything. Thank you, Joseph. So yeah, for everybody listening, Joseph's contact information is there in the chat. So feel free to give him a call or email him if you're interested in volunteering with the PEI Association for Community Living. And if anybody has any questions, we'll give maybe like 30 seconds to a minute. If anybody wants to type in the chat with a question, go for it. Or if you would like to ask a question into your microphone, please raise your hand and we can turn on your microphone. One thing that I want to kind of touch on again, Joseph, that you did mention was, do students need to have any particular kind of training or experience, or could be a broad range of things?
Again, because of how open it is, if a student does have experience, that kind of just informs the pair, like the match that we would make. So if a student comes in, they're passionate, they're interested, they're empathetic, they care, but they don't have the experience, I'd match them to somebody who's a little lower needs, that's more of like a hangout, have fun, socializing stuff, working on life skills, not so much the intense high needs kind of clients that we sometimes have come through the door. So we make matches based off of the experience of the students, but they don't need experience to make great matches.
Okay, that's really good to know. So if a student kind of has, you know, an interest, but if they're thinking, oh, but I don't have the training, that's okay. They can still contact you, and you can try to make a match that's a good fit.
For sure.
Great. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat right now, so I'm going to say thanks again, Joseph, so much for joining us. And I'm going to move on to our next presenter. Have a good day, Joseph. So next up, we've got Cheryl Young from Beech Grove Home and Prince Edward Home. I think Cheryl is here. So Cheryl, if you're there and ready, you can take it away with your presentation.
Hi guys, I'm trying to get my video to work.
We can hear you loud and clear. Just
Okay,
can't see you.
perfect. I'll try again. It's saying, no, it's not letting me. Oh, modern technology, I love it.
I know, me too. Well, maybe Faye is our tech support. So maybe Faye, if you have any pointers for Cheryl to turn on her video, feel free to send them to her in a chat. But in the meantime, Cheryl, if you're comfortable with it, you can go ahead and start telling us about volunteer experiences.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to listen to me. So I am the Recreation Department Manager at Beech Grove Home and PE Home. Normally, outside of COVID, we rely solely on volunteers, not solely, but a lot of partnership with the Recreation Department to do programs and to spend more one-on-one time with our residents. So at each facility, Beech Grove Home and PE Home, we do have anywhere from 120 to 130 residents, and each one of them have different interests and passions that they would love to do while with us, living with us. So basically, the way to volunteer is you would go online and you can search up like Beech Grove Home or PE Home, Health PEI. Whenever that page comes up, you're going to scroll to the bottom and link to volunteer. Now, because of COVID, we're not really taking a lot of volunteers yet because Dr. Morrison has not lifted that restriction yet, but hopefully over the next couple of weeks that will get lifted. So I will be keeping a file of people who are interested in volunteering. We would need to get you to do a criminal record check as well as a vulnerable sector check as well. We send you the papers for it, and it's very easy to do through the RCMP or Charlottetown City Police or really any police detachment that you're on. We are looking for anyone that has different passions in arts, crafts, music, carpentry, hair, makeup, nails. If you like card games, if you like trivia, if we have a coffee shop that a lot of our volunteers like to work at because they get to interact with a lot of different residents that come to the coffee shop. Really anything that you're interested in, we would love to have your expertise and your loves. You can volunteer at any time of the day. Normally, we have volunteers that come in between 7 and 8, and usually they tend to stay till 9 or 10 at nighttime is usually the last time frame for the volunteers that do the evening. You can do 1 hour at a time. You can do 4 hours at a time.
we want you for as little or as much as you want to give us. Depending on what your interests are and what residents you would be working with, you may be with a staff member or you might be one-to-one as well. So there's lots of different variants in coming to volunteer with us. And we do a really good orientation before you start so that you're comfortable within the facility and you have met some of the residents as well.
That sounds great, Cheryl. It sounds like there's a pretty wide variety of things that students can do when they come to volunteer.
Yes, for sure. Yep. So,
Great.
and it's also good too. I know that some of our nursing staff have actually come through with our volunteers so that they know for sure that they want to make that nursing a career.
That's wonderful. Yeah, because that is a question we get sometimes from students is, oh, well, you know, if I'm interested in this type of career, where would be a good place for me to volunteer? So if any students out there listening are interested in a career in nursing, this might be a really good opportunity for you to spend some time volunteering in that type of environment to learn more about what your interests are there. And one question we also get sometimes, Cheryl, is whether or not organizations are able to provide recommendation letters for volunteers. Is that something that you folks do if a volunteer asks for it?
Yes, I've written many recommendation letters and reference checks. So yeah, which is great, which is really good.
That's great. So yeah, again, students out there looking for recommendation letters as they volunteer. I think most organizations do provide them, but it's good to know going in that if that's something that you're going to need, you can get that. All right. Well, thank you, Cheryl. I think the time is up for your presentation. It would have been great to see you, but as we all know at this point, especially, technical difficulties are a real thing. But we still appreciate you joining us today. And,
well, thank you so much.
As everyone can see, Cheryl's contact information is there on the slide. So if you're interested in volunteering for Beech Grove or Prince Edward Home, definitely get in touch with Cheryl. Thanks, Cheryl. Bye for now. So next up, we've got Jaslyn McLeod presenting about St. John Ambulance. So Jaslyn, if you're there and ready to go, you can go ahead with your presentation.
Hi, Jenna. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you, Jaslyn?
Good. So I'm just going to jump right into it. So a little bit on St. John Ambulance. It's international and one of the oldest humanitarian organizations. We provide best quality training with first aid classes. Revenue generated from our classes and kit sales supports our volunteer programs. So we have two main volunteer programs, and we're mostly going to focus on volunteer medical responders, but because I know there's such a big interest in therapy dogs, I'm going to quickly mention it. So it's for people who own a dog that think they would be a great fit for the program. This is not a training program or a way for your dog to become a therapy dog for yourself. It's for you and your dog to become a therapy dog team for our organization to visit facilities we have connections with, so nursing homes, hospitals, and airports. And the last slide will have my information on it, so if anybody wants more information on that, they can just reach out to me. So on to our volunteer medical responders. So these are uniformed individuals trained to a minimum of standard first aid who volunteer their time to provide first aid services at a wide variety of events. So sporting games, concerts, public speaking events. Anyone interested can apply. Minimum first aid needed before anyone can be in the field, but St. John Ambulance actually provides volunteers with the training they need to perform the duties if volunteers do not already have it coming in. Hi, Max. The process. So application information package needs to be filled out and sent in to myself or somebody else in our community services team in Dartmouth. References are in the application package. Please provide emails if your references are outside of Canada so we can contact them. Criminal and vulnerable sector check. We will provide a letter for you to have this done if you provide us with your full name. Interview and approval from myself and the Charlottetown Division leader. And then once we know your status within the process, attendance at this meeting, we will let you know when the next meeting is, and then if you can attend, we highly recommend it. Speaking of meetings, they're very important in being a part of the team. Training happens at every meeting night to keep your mind refreshed, and it's a great team building opportunity. They're bi-weekly right now, Thursdays at 7 p.m. And from there, once approved, and your minimum first aid is required and some attendance at a meeting, you'll be added to our volunteer medical responder website. On there, you can see and sign up for any upcoming meetings, events, anything to help track your hours we try and put on there so you can sign up for. Events are also discussed at meetings prior to, so attend those meetings if you have any questions. And you're never alone at an event. 2 is our rule, and you're always there with somebody who has a little bit more experience. And just lastly, so our role at events. So VMRs are first on the scene and first to respond. We only provide care based on the training we have that St. John Ambulance provides you. We do transport, and we are doing what we can until emergency response arrives if needed. That's pretty much it on my end, but any questions?
Great, thanks, Jaslyn. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, you've heard me say this now several times, but just type your question into the chat on the side there, or raise your hand in Blackboard, and we'll unmute you so you can ask your question. There's some contact information there for St. John Ambulance and for Jaslyn, so feel free to follow them on social media and to email Jaslyn if you have any questions. So one question or something I want to ask about, I guess, Jaslyn, is the training. So you mentioned that you do provide full training, and then you have those fairly regular meetings to keep people trained as well. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. So again, standard first aid is the minimum to be able to actually attend events. And we will put you through standard first aid if you don't already have it when you're interested in signing up. And then advanced medical first responder is the max training we do. So that's more in depth and a longer training program. Definitely worth it though. Everybody seems to enjoy it when we put them through it. And then meeting nights, again, we take training from each standard first aid or AMFR program, the 2 that we provide. We take training from that and just make a meeting night out of it. That's essentially what it's based around. And that's why they're so important to attend and keep your position, help keep your position as a volunteer medical responder. Attending where you can, as we know it's not always possible, but it helps us also view where you're at with your first aid training, so we can feel confident when we send you out into the field that you know what you're doing, even if you have someone there to help you or who has more experience. Yeah.
Great. Okay, thanks, Jaslyn. There's some more, I guess, a summary there of what Jaslyn mentioned today, the 2 programs that they're seeking volunteers for. So the medical responder program to go out as a medical responder at events, and the therapy dog program. So again, if you're interested in volunteering with St. John Ambulance for either of these programs, you can contact Jaslyn at the email or the phone number there. These are also copy and pasted into the chat, so you can see them there. So if no one has any other questions, we'll say thanks, Jaslyn, and move on to a little break. Thanks, Jaslyn. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So we've got a bit of a break in which I wanted to take a minute to tell you a little bit about myself and a personal story about the value of volunteering in my life. And a lot of my friends as well that I've known over the years have gotten so much value out of becoming a volunteer. So I'm guessing that if you're attending this event, you are interested in becoming a volunteer. For me, it has helped me in so many ways. I kind of made a list of some of the great things that I've been able to do over the years, expand my network of friends and professional connections. It's helped me travel within Canada and the United States through different volunteering. I've learned a lot about myself and what I enjoy doing, which has helped me in the world of work. I've helped my community in various ways. I've gained a lot of different skills, and volunteering also can help you expand your resume. So here in the Experiential Education Office, we meet students pretty regularly who have not volunteered or had a job yet, but they're looking to work. So, you know, they say, oh, I don't have anything to put on my resume. Well, there are some skills that you can pull from your academic learning, but the best place to start with getting some experience on your resume is to volunteer. So it could be, you know, a volunteer position like some of the ones we've heard about today. That might only be maybe 1 or 2 hours a week. It isn't a huge time commitment, So you can do it while you study, and therefore you're getting out there and meeting people, you're helping your community, you're building some of those skills, and then we can help you write about that volunteer experience on your resume in a way that will communicate those skills to employers when you go to apply for work. So again, that's something that we help with in our office, the Experiential Education Office. And something else I wanted to tell you about was different ways you can get involved on campus. So all of the presenters today are from off campus, except for the Student Union and the Rotaract and WUSC. But there are all kinds of ways that you can get involved in your campus community. So there's a list there, and at the bottom of the list, there's a website, a link to the UPEI website. It's pretty easy to find. You can type that in, or you can just go to upei.ca and click on students at the top, and there's a little drop down menu, and get involved or be involved is on that drop down menu. And then there's all kinds of information about the Student Union, athletics and recreation, clubs and societies, the Campus Life program, the International Buddy program, and finding paid work, student employment on campus. So I wanted to flag some of those things to you before we go on to our next presenter. And before the next presentation, a few reminders for those of you just joining us. At any time during the fair, you can type any questions you have into the chat box. So that could be questions if you're having technical difficulties, or if you have questions for the presenter. When you join the fair, you are going to be automatically muted. So if you would like to ask a question with your microphone, please raise your hand, and our tech support behind the scenes will turn on your microphone for you. Also, if you're being distracted by any of the audio or visual notifications in Blackboard Collaborate, you can turn those off or adjust your notification settings at the settings menu on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And after the fair, be sure to visit our website, upei.ca/xed/students, and all of the information from today's fair will be there. So if you missed someone's phone number or email, or are trying to remember who one of the earlier presenters were, just go to that website and all of the information is there. And last but not least, feel free to follow us on social media, the Experiential Education Office. We're on those 3 platforms, as well as LinkedIn. I forgot to put LinkedIn on the slide. And that'll help you stay updated on events such as this and some of the services we offer, like resume writing, for example. So up next, we've got Martin Dutton from the Learning Disabilities Association of PEI. Martin has come to our volunteer fair every year, I think, for the last few years. It's great to see you again here, Martin. Whenever you're ready, feel free to share your video and microphone, and you can go ahead with your presentation.
I'm there, I hope.
There you are. I can see you and hear you. Nice to see you again.
Thank you very much, Jenna. Much appreciated. And again, firstly, thank you everyone for actually coming out to any volunteer fair. It's fantastic to actually see people wanting to help. Again, I reinforce what Jenna just said. Anybody that presents a resume to me, the first thing I'm looking at is volunteerism. You're already showing you have academics, but who you are is shown by how much and what you've done volunteering and helping your community. So reinforcing that, please help. And if it's not us, it's somebody else. So who are we? We're the Learning Disabilities Association, Prince Edward Island, and we support the island community of those who live with learning disabilities. Learning disabilities, many of you may hear the expression dyslexia. That is a learning disability where folks struggle with reading and writing skills. About 15 to 30% of the population live with a learning disability. So we do have a large number of people that need support, and we're a small office. I'm it, and I love volunteers helping. So we are looking for volunteers. We try to find opportunities for people that match some of their own interests, because then you're actually delivering something you enjoy doing. So in the coming year, we're looking at, for example, creating a seminar series to help parents, children, adults, educators, government have a clearer understanding of what learning disabilities are and the impact of not supporting those with learning disabilities in particular. So a mini example is, if a woman has a learning disability, they're 7 times more likely to attempt suicide than a woman without a learning disability. which is quite a sad, stark number. And I tend to do the happy stuff and try and encourage people and motivate them, but behind it there is a serious intent behind what we're trying to achieve. So a seminar series will allow us to reach people and allow folks to connect with us and maybe reduce some of their own fears, worries, and tension. Another one, fundraising. Everyone in not-for-profits wants to try and find ways of making money. I'm not saying that you're a fundraiser, but we have about 500 foundations across Canada that want to distribute money. And the problem I have is working out which one we should apply to. So if somebody's got an interest in actually doing the research, we have the list, but just doing the research and saying which of those we should target and then make a more relevant application rather than spend a lot of time making a bad application to the wrong people. So that would be another option. Organisationally, we always are looking for folks to help us. If somebody has an interest in helping us, for example, creating a policy manual. It sounds boring, but some people love doing it. I'm not one of them, but I like helping people do it. So that would contain things like job descriptions, board member positions, volunteer positions. And my title for it is If I Die Tomorrow. Well, the idea is that if an organisation has somebody leave it, they should never actually collapse in a heap. So we need to have something in place that somebody can pick up and just work with it and say we carry on as normal. I'm not planning on dying tomorrow, but research as well. There's very little island research on learning disabilities. So if somebody maybe is in the psychology cohort or education cohort, that might be an area of interest for them because it can tie into studies as well as being deemed to be volunteerism. And the last one is we're doing a video project ongoing where we're looking for folks who might be interested in being a part of that, where they help us introduce this video into the school system so that some of the children who've made decisions to leave education or give up on education maybe can stay in a bit longer and eventually end up where you are in the university and then realise their true potential. So we do see a lot of children just give up, and it's so sad. And that's my summary. So you can get rid of me now, Jenna.
Not yet. Don't go away yet.
Okay, I'll stay for a while.
Well, thanks, Martin. Yeah, I know. As I mentioned, Martin and I, we see each other once a year around this time of year during the volunteer fair, and it's always great to hear about the wonderful things that the LDA, the Learning Disabilities Association of PEI, are doing out in the community. So if anybody has any questions for Martin about volunteering with LDA PEI, please type your question into the chat or raise your hand and we will turn on your mic so you can ask your question. Just to recap Martin's presentation, they're looking for volunteers to receive requests for tutoring, gauge whether they are the appropriate service, liaise between the student, family, and tutor to arrange a schedule, send paperwork, and maintain a register of tutoring to follow up with further contracts. So if you want to get in touch with Martin about volunteering with the association, his email address is there. It's also in the chat. I'll say that when I was a university student, I didn't volunteer with LDA PEI, but I did volunteer as a tutor on campus with students who had learning disabilities, and it was probably one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. Just meeting students from different backgrounds and learning about different ways that people can be intelligent and different ways that people learn was so helpful. And just as a volunteer experience, it was one of the best. So it wasn't with this organization, but it was similar work, and I couldn't recommend it more from a personal standpoint. And as Martin mentioned, if you're interested in education or things like policy writing, it sounds like there's all kinds of opportunities there. Yeah.
And if somebody's got any ideas that they would like to bring to us, I love people bringing ideas. Don't be afraid to bring an idea. And we're only just down the road as well. I should mention that.
Yes, you're located very, very close.
Yeah, we make it easy.
Yeah, they're very close to campus. I'll say that. Oh, great. Well, thank you so much, Martin, for joining us yet again. I'm sure we'll see you next year, if not before. And again, if anyone has any questions for Martin, his email address is there, so we encourage you to reach out.
So good luck, everybody, and thank you for listening. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thanks, Martin. Before the next presenter, Faye, maybe you could bring up one of our slides there on Rising Youth, and I'll tell the participants a bit about that before we learn about Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Okay, thank you, Martin. So yeah, one other thing I wanted to tell you folks listening about is another opportunity for community projects. So it's called the Rising Youth Grants Program, and they're grants for community volunteer projects. So for instance, a project could be hosting an event for your community or putting together care packages for people in your community. If you are between the ages of 15 to 30 and a Canadian citizen, you have your permanent residence or refugee status, you can apply for this grant. It's really, really cool. So the care package idea, for instance, if you've got, say, students that you want to provide some care packages to, you can apply to Rising Youth and get the funds to put those care packages together. And it doesn't have to be you by yourself. You could do it with a couple of friends, put together a team, and it doesn't have to be an event or a care package. It's really any project that helps your community and that you do as a volunteer. So to learn more about this opportunity, you can go to risingyouth.ca, and we share stuff about this on our social media from time to time too, so be sure to follow us on social media, and you'll hear more about the Rising Youth grants. So we are like a minute or two ahead of schedule, but I see Lindsay is ready to go, so I'm going to introduce Lindsay Charlton from Big Brothers Big Sisters of PEI. Hi, Lindsay. Oh, I think you have to unmute yourself. I can see you, but I can't hear you yet.
Hi, Jenna.
Hi. So Lindsay and I go way back to junior high together. So nice to see you, Lindsay.
You too.
Okay, you can take it away with your presentation if you're ready.
I think we're going to start with a little video. I might need some tech help here.
Yes, I think Faye has Faye can share the video on her screen. So we'll go ahead and press play on that.
Thank you, Faye.
Bro, see, I don't really need much. See, what's funny is money says ain't got we choose. We trust the money, though funny, cause we don't need stuff. We just need someone to need us. It's been a minute, but it's still me. For all the timid and the real G's, we take it to the limit, try to feel free. But what been true always will be.
Okay, so I also have a presentation to go with this. I'm just going to pull it up.
I think Faye has your slides so she can share them for you, Lindsay. Yeah, there they are.
Great. Okay.
Great.
Perfect. So my name's Lindsay. I'm the development coordinator here at Big Brothers Big Sisters. Really quickly, I'm going to walk you through our programs and the volunteer opportunities we have with them. Okay, so Becoming a Big, this is our traditional mentor program, and it's usually what people think of when they think of Big Brothers Big Sisters. So we match community members, local youth, based on their interests and personalities. Our bigs take their littles out twice a month to do fun activities for about 4 hours. Yeah, so I'll tell you a little bit more about that. So next slide. Oh, too far. So the youth in our programs, they come from diverse backgrounds. Often I'll need a little extra support, someone to listen to them, do fun things with. Sometimes provide free tickets to community events, so like Jack Frost or corn mazes, things like that. But there are tons of activities you can do that are low cost or no money. Pam, our mentoring coordinator, is awesome. She has lots of ideas, and she's there to support you. So she's always too if you're curious about that. Okay, so our group programs, we also have a ton of group programs. So Go Girls and Game On are for ages 12 to 14. We do sessions for 7 to 10 weeks. And the volunteer commitment is about an hour a week. Each volunteer gets a manual to help them know what the activities are and to prepare for these sessions. And so the point of these sessions is to help kids build healthy self-esteem, learn healthy living practices. It's all about building those habits for healthy minds and bodies. Okay. Launch Your Life, this is a new program that we're really excited about. So this is for ages, we have varying ages, so it's 14 to 24. So it's 7 to 10. And the volunteers in this situation would help facilitate the sessions. And sessions are about self-exploration, post-secondary readiness, career readiness, financial literacy, all those important skills. So yeah, if you're interested in volunteering, I think the easiest way would be to go on our website. We have volunteer forms there, and as soon as you fill that out, a staff member will contact you. If you just want to talk to somebody a little more about it, you can call Myron. He's our executive director, and his phone number is on the screen there. And there's a line at wpei.ca if you just want to get those questions answered. But I can answer some questions now.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Lindsay. So yeah, if anybody has questions, feel free to type them into the chat or raise your hand and we'll turn on your mic so you can ask your question. And as Lindsay mentioned, the contact information is on the screen there, and I think Cecia has already shared it in the chat too, so lots of ways to reach out. So Lindsay, I guess a question I've asked a couple other presenters that I'll ask you as well. Are there any prerequisites or kind of experiences that you folks look for when people are volunteering?
No, and I think a lot of people think that they need extensive experience to be a volunteer, and I think that's kind of a myth. The main thing is that you're motivated and that you have the time and are interested. We do a lot of screening for our bigs, so there is criminal record checks and vulnerable sector checks and some interviews involved with that. But yeah, no, there's not. You don't need to come from a specific background to be a volunteer with us.
Okay, great, thanks. Yeah, I think again, for some volunteer positions, students feel like they should be in this particular faculty or studying this particular thing, but a lot of volunteer organizations are looking for students from a wide variety of backgrounds, so this would be one of those, I think.
Yeah, anyone can be a mentor.
That's great. What are some of the things that mentors do with their mentees?
So it really depends on what the interests are of the child, but they do all kinds of things like baking, going for walks on the beach, playing sports. Yeah, there's some really funny videos on our website actually of little activities like science fair, like volcanoes, things like that. But whatever is of interest to the kid that you're mentoring.
That's great. It's funny you mentioned that because when we were planning the fair, we were on the Big Brothers Big Sisters YouTube channel and saw some videos that we thought were pretty cute. So, oh, and we've got a nice comment here from Max. May I just say that was an award-winning starting presentation. Thank you, Max, for your kind words. So just to recap what Lindsay just told us about Big Brothers Big Sisters of PEI, they are currently looking for volunteers to be Big Brothers and Big Sisters. They're also looking for volunteers for their Go Girls, Game On, and Launch Your Life Leaders and In-School Mentors programs. So lots of different programs there that you could get involved in. To connect with Lindsay or to find out more about volunteering with Big Brothers Big Sisters, you've got the email and Myron's phone number there, as well as in the chat, and it will be on our website after the fair as well. So thank you so much for joining us, Lindsay. Appreciate it.
Great. Yeah.
We'll see you soon. Thanks. So up next, we've got Amy Doyle with the Girl Guides of Canada PEI. So Amy, if you're there, feel free to turn on your mic and camera and go ahead with your presentation.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you and I can see you. And we've got your slides up, so that's great.
Perfect. So I'm Amy and I'm with the Girl Guides PEI. Girl Guides is a Canadian organization, part of the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts. Predominantly, we try to provide a safe environment. It invites women and girls to kind of be themselves and find where they fit in the world. And it's really another kind of mentorship program specifically designed for girls. There are 8 different components to our program. We explore the outdoors. We do lots of camping, life skills, learning how to change a tire, for example, just stuff like that kids might not learn at home. So that's kind of what we focus on. There are, like I said, 8 components to the program, and there's badges that earn for doing each of those activities. So as a volunteer, you would be developing transferable skills, a lot of management skills. The way that we have our groups set up are in units divided by age group, so you'd be working with a specific age group of girls. We start at 5 years old and we go to 18, so there's lots of opportunity to work with an age group that you're comfortable with. As a member, you have access to free training, special events, and some adult-only events as well, where like we teach you how to go camping if you don't know how. So that's great. The best part about volunteering, though, is the impact that you have on the kids. And I know a lot of the kids attribute many of their life skills and friendships and lessons learned to their experience in Girl Guides, and that's been really special. So as I said, most of the volunteers work directly with the kids. And so as a unit guider, that's what your job would look like. But we do have opportunities available for people who are interested in accounting, and we are still a business organization. We do still need to keep the business side of things going. So we are recruiting for volunteers for that as well. You do not have to be female to volunteer in like an admission, if that's something that you're interested in doing. We also run camps, and that's something that people might want to come on board if they're not able to make the weekly commitment. I know right now COVID's a little put us on the back seat for camps and overnights, but that will get going eventually, hopefully in the spring. So if a weekend is something that would work for your schedule better, that's an option too, helping out with our camps. So as a unit guider, your primary responsibility will be cheering the girls on and kind of making them feel heard and seen and helping them develop confidence. You'll also probably make a bunch of new friends. There's lots of people who are in touch with others through the program, and meet other people who have similar interests. So that's been really nice too. This is just a description of our different age groups. Some people have experience working with children already. You don't need experience, although it helps. But we do have a training program to help everyone get kind of the background information on what it means to be a leader. We have written reference letters for people who are looking for community service grants. We also have like letters of recognition and reference letters for people who want to use that for employment purposes. The meetings, depending on the age group, are between an hour or 2 hours. So obviously the older units need a little bit longer. So if you have less time, it might be more beneficial to sign up with a younger unit. And right now the younger units are where we need the most volunteers, because we need more eyes on the ones. So this is how you can sign up. You can email nb-pei-membership@girlguides.ca, and we also have an online application that's available at girlguides.ca. And once you fill out the application, then we can go about trying to match you with a unit in your area.
Great. Thank you, Amy, so much for telling us all about Girl Guides. I know for folks who grew up in Canada, Girl Guides, like I was a Girl Guide. A lot of people here go through the Sparks and Girl Guide program. So for those who weren't aware of the program, that was a really good overview. And I didn't realize how many volunteer opportunities there were with Girl Guides. So that's great. Lots of different opportunities. So to recap Amy's presentation there's a list of what Girl Guides is looking for volunteers, and there's her contact information. I'll leave another about minute or so if anybody has any questions for Amy about volunteering with Girl Guides. As I asked Jose at the beginning of the presentation, Amy, could you tell us a bit about how you got involved with Girl Guides?
So I actually joined when I was 5 as a Spark, and I did the whole program myself. I got to do a bunch of, I got to go to Edmonton and National Camp in Guelph, and just lots of really, really great experiences with Girl Guides. So as I became an adult, I got involved as a volunteer, and since then I've been able to, last year we took a group of kids to a national camp in Muskoka, Ontario, and I'm now the area commissioner for Girl Guides too. One thing I forgot that wasn't in the presentation was Girl Guides also offers scholarships for volunteers and for members. So if you sign up and become a volunteer, there are scholarship applications that you can apply for going back to school too.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad that you thought to add that. That's really good. So lots of great opportunities for students there. And if you're a student interested in volunteering with Girl Guides, definitely get in touch with Amy or Allie. Their contact information is on the screen, and there's more contact information in the chat, and the contact information will be on our website, which you can visit after the fair as well. Oh, we've got a question here. As an international student, could I join in? So maybe you can answer that, Amy.
Yeah, absolutely. You just have to be able to pass the criminal record check, and we do a vulnerable sector check too for working with children. But you do not have to be a Canadian citizen to apply.
Great. Okay, well, thank you so much, Amy. We're going to pass it on, or I'm going to mention something before the next presentation, but thank you so much for joining us and telling us about Girl Guides today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. So before our next presentation, we've got 2 presentations left. I wanted to take a minute to tell everybody about our UPEI digital badge programs. So if you haven't heard of this program, it's one that's offered through our office, the Experiential Education Office. It's a free program, non-credit, open to all UPEI students and alumni. And you can enter this program at any point during your degree. You can enter it in your first year or your 4th year or anywhere in between. These programs consist of, right now, virtual workshops. They're usually in person, but right now they're virtual. So workshops and Moodle activities that help complement your classroom learning and give you all kinds of skills that can help you in your personal and your professional life. So those skills include, there's a long list, but we do leadership training skills, teamwork, conflict resolution, communication, and lots of other skills that employers are looking for and skills that will just help you in your day-to-day life. So there's also experiential learning components to some of the trainings, such as doing a job shadow, doing informational interviews, and on-campus leadership work, among other experiential learning opportunities. So if this is something that sounds interesting to you, you can check out our website again, upei.ca/xed, and click on the Students tab to learn more about the digital badge programs. I could go on and on about them for a long time, but I'll stop there because we do have 2 presentations left. Up next, we've got Janet Rogers from the Duke of Edinburgh's International Award. So Janet, if you're here and can turn on your mic and camera, you can go ahead with your presentation.
Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? Duke of Edinburgh's International Award helps you explore who you are, to discover who you could be. Join a band. Try coding. Learn a language. Or find your creative side. Give something back by volunteering in your community. Get active and take on a new sport. Cross a river. Climb a mountain. Walk a new trail. Camp under the stars. Work together with friends to make your own adventures. You choose how, where, what. Join millions around the world just like you and find out what you're made of. So, what are you waiting for? Discover you.
Great, so that video was for the Duke of Edinburgh's International Award, and we've got Janet Rogers here to tell us a little bit more about the award. Janet, are you here? I'm not hearing Janet. This is the fun with these virtual events. Faye, do you know if Janet is available to do her presentation?
I can see that Janet's present. It looks like Janet might be having a bit of trouble, so why don't we just move right along to the next person and give Janet another minute.
Okay, sounds good. So Joanne Vino, are you here and ready to present? If so, feel free to write in the chat or turn on your video and your microphone. Oh, I hear somebody. I think we can hear you. Is that you, Joanne or Janet?
Yes, it's me. It's just the share video is not necessarily working.
Oh, okay. Well, we've got slides for you. This is Joanne Vino, right?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay. So for those listening, we've got Joanne Vino on the line here for the Community Museums Association of PEI. So thank you for being flexible and ready to go a little bit early, Joanne. Hopefully Janet can get her tech working and present after you. But in the meantime, yeah, Joanne, could you tell us a bit about the Community Museums Association of PEI?
Of course. I'm the executive director of the association. So it was created in 1983, and it's a not-for-profit organization that offers workshops, services, and consulting to museum heritage sites in the province. We have three main goals, which are increase excellence in the field, facilitate communication and cooperation, and promote public awareness of the museum's functions to collect, research, exhibit, and interpret aspects of our past and present. Museums in Prince Edward Island are very diversified, and I see the pictures are not moving. They should be. I tried to show you a diversity of what's in the province. So there are heritage centers, historic houses, lighthouses, community museums. The island is a small province, but I'm sure there are at least one side that is of interest to you because the themes they explore and the stories they tell are countless. You can see fishermen, farmers, soldiers, ancestors' lives, or evolution in technologies, industries, and art. On our website, museumspei.ca, under the section Join the Community, you can find the current volunteer positions and job opportunities. These vary through all the year, so go there quite often or on a regular basis. For most volunteer positions, a previous experience in the museum field is not required. Some positions offer the possibility to work from home, like social media pages administrator or research assistant. Others need your presence on site, like trails maintenance staff or front desk clerk. A nice way to get a good overview of an institution is to volunteer on its board of directors. There are currently 2 volunteer positions to fill. The PEI Museum and Heritage Foundation needs a collection assistant, and we at the association, we need 11 assistant coordinator. All the details can be found under Join the Community at museumspei.ca. And please do not be shy. Don't hesitate to contact the museum to offer your time and knowledge and to present yourself. They will appreciate. Thanks a lot.
Great, thanks, Joanne. So as everyone could see from the slides, there was a wide variety of different sites across PEI that students can volunteer with. And as Joanne mentioned, some volunteer opportunities are to be done from home. Some you can go and be on the site. So again, another organization that has lots of different opportunities for students. So if anybody has any questions for Joanne and volunteering with Community Museums Association of PEI, please type your questions into the chat now or raise your hand and we can turn your mic on so you can ask your question. So just to recap what Joanne was telling us about, they're looking for volunteers, and that they can go from anywhere from being a gardener to an exhibit designer. And as she mentioned, one example is they're looking for a collections assistant. So lots of different opportunities there. And don't be shy, as Joanne said, to reach out to her at info@museumspei.ca. Again, just a bit of a personal story. I volunteer with one of the museums in Summerside, PEI, where I grew up. And I've done everything from typing up historic journals and diary entries, which is really interesting, to doing some online research, to helping out with their annual ghost walk at Halloween and dressing up as a ghost. So you never know what you're going to get into when you volunteer with Community Museums Association of PEI. So I don't see any questions coming in there, Joanne. So thank you so much for taking time to share those opportunities with us today. And as with all other presentations, if folks are interested, they can contact Joanne or go to our website after the fair, and the information will be there as well. So last but not least, I see, yeah, thank you. Have a good rest of your day. Last but not least, I see Janet is there. So that's our final presentation for the day on the Duke of Edinburgh's International Award. We already saw the little video, which is a really, really good video, talking a bit about what the award is, but Janet is here to tell us more. So Janet, if you're ready, you can go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you. Sorry about that. The Duke of Edinburgh International Award is a global framework for non-formal education, which challenges young people to dream big, celebrate their achievements, and make a difference in their world. Through developing transferable skills, increasing their fitness levels, cultivating a sense of adventure, and volunteering in their community, the award helps young people find their purpose, passion, and place in the world. Currently, the PEI division is seeking volunteers to help youth with their award through the online record book. Training is offered through our online learning hub. If you are interested in helping young people, please contact our office at pei@dukeofed.org. For additional information, you can also visit our website at dukeofed.org. Click on the tab Find Us.
Great, thanks, Janet. Short and sweet. And no worries about the technical difficulties. Like I said, I think in today's world, everybody has had that happen at least once. I know I have. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Another note, our program is offered to youth ages 14 to 24. There are 3 levels to our program, which is bronze, silver, and gold. They start at age 14, and they have until age 24 to finish their award. There are 3 components: physical, skill, and service. And the 4th component is an outdoor adventure at the bronze and silver. And at gold, there is one more, which is called the Gold Project.
Cool. It's a great way to have it all organized and the different kinds of levels that you can do. Can you give us an example, Janet, of maybe one of the projects that a previous recipient of the award has completed?
You mean like a gold project?
Yeah.
Yeah. It could be like a 4-H forum. It could be going to Terry Fox Center. It could be just here on PEI as well, going to one of our youth spots such as Camp Zeggy or Camp Care, where they could be away for a whole week, meeting new people and doing new things.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Janet. If anybody has any questions for Janet about volunteering with the Duke of Edinburgh International Award, now is your chance. You can type into the chat or raise your hand and we can turn on your microphone so you can ask a question. And just to recap on the slide there, they're looking for 6 volunteers under 30 leaders. And if you have questions after the fair, feel free to reach out to Janet at the email address there on the screen. It's also in the chat box. And I'll repeat, as I said a couple times, that all of the information on the organizations that presented today will be available on our website for several weeks after the fair. So you can kind of go home and think about the presentations you saw today. And if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to go to our website, which will be on the final slide, and you can get all the information there. So I don't see any questions there, Janet. So I'm going to say thanks. And again, if people have any questions after, they can get in touch with Janet.
Great. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you. Great, so that's it for the Volunteer Fair for 2020. We went through 14 presentations today, as well as some other information about services that our office offers. I want to thank all presenters and students for attending. Again, we were sad at the beginning. We thought that we weren't going to be able to do a fair at all this year, so I'm really, really happy that we were able to do this today and that we had such a good turnout. Again, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us on social media or at our email. Maybe one of my tech gurus in the background there can put our office email in the chat, experientialed@upei.ca. That's how you can reach me and the other staff on campus here. You can also visit our website. Once again, I'll say it. It's upei.ca/xed/students. And there's a tab there called Volunteer Fair that you can click on for all of the information on the organizations you saw today. Also, be sure to follow us on social media. We pretty much every day are posting something on one of those platforms about services that our office offers, events such as this one, events like free workshops for the digital badge program. So if you're a UPEI student or alumni and you're interested in experiential learning, improving your professional and personal skills, that's what we're here to help you with. So be sure to follow us and keep an eye on our stories and posts. So thank you again, everybody, so much for joining, and thank you to Cecia and Faye and Shannon and Chrissy and Kyle and all of my team that are behind the scenes. And we'll look forward to next year's fair. Bye for now, everybody. Have a great day.